this distinction between the two categories of verbal articulation, in which the Aleph Mem Resh and the Dalet Bet Resh are both used to describe speech, whereas Zayin Chaf Resh is used where the speech comes as a result of the mental exercise of remembering an event from the past, can be demonstrated from a pasuk recorded earlier in Sefer Bereshit, Perek 40, the segment of text dealing with the butler and the baker. Providentially, YOSSEF finds himself locked up in a prison with two of Pharaoh's ministers. They both have dreams, which they understand to be visions of the future, and they each ask YOSSEF for the interpretation of their respective dreams. The butler receives a positive outcome for his dream, following which YOSSEF makes a request. Ka'asher yitav lach, that when things go well for you, ki im zachartani itcha, please remember me in your good fortune, v'asita na imadi chesed, please do with me a kindness, and v'hiz kartani el paro, mention me to Pharaoh, so that v'hotze tani min habayit hazeh, I shall be released from this bayit, this prison. As a short digression, the problem with this pasuk are the two opening words, ki'im, and most of the translators struggle with providing a user-friendly translation to Yosef's request that is faithful to the text. For example, the Art Scroll translates the phrase ki'im as at which time. In doing so, he links this pasuk with the one that immediately precedes it. In pasuk 13, you have the interpretation of the dream with a positive outcome. Subsequent to the interpretation, YOSSEF adds that when you are released, im zachartani itcha ka'asher yitav lach, if you will think of me with yourself, when you have benefited from my interpretation, v'asita na imadi chesed, and if you will please do with me a kindness, and v'hizkartani el paro, mention me to Paro, then v'hotzitani min habayit hazeh, you will be in a position to facilitate my exit from this prison. Kaplan, on the other hand, translates as follows: Ki im, but, zachartani itcha, just remember that I was with you, ka'asher yitav lach, when things go well with you, v'asita na imadi chesed v'hizkartani el paro, do me a favor and say something about me to Paro, perhaps then v'hotzitani min habayit hazeh, you'll be able to get me out of this place. Apropos to the SICHAH, the Zayin Chaf Resh is used twice in this pasuk. In the first, it has a connotation of remembering. In the second, v'hizkartani notes the process of acting upon this remembering by mentioning a particular event to Paro, which reinforces the point that whereas Aleph Mem Resh and Dalet Bet Resh connote the act of speaking, Zayin Chaf Resh connotes an act of communication about something that had previously been forgotten and subsequently remembered. And hence, while Dalet Bet Resh could have been used in the context of Yosef's request, Zayin Chaf Resh is more appropriate. Which brings us full circle to Rashi's commentary to the words Zichron Truah, which according to Rashi is one of three obligations that God places upon the Bnei Yisrael with respect to the first day of Tishrei: 1 Shabbaton, 2 Zichron Truah, 3 Mikra Kodesh, to which Rashi defines Zichron Truah as an obligation to recite Pesukei Shofrot, Pasukim dealing with the Truah, the Shofar, to which we ask that in contrast to Shabbat, the Zachor at Yom HaShabbat, where according to Rashi we are required during the 6 weekdays when involved in non-Shabbat activities to Zachor, remember the upcoming Shabbat. With respect to Rosh Hashanah, it is a one-time in the year event, and therefore one for which there would not necessarily be a need for recalling and remembering. If, as Rashi maintains, we are here dealing with an obligation to recite specific pasukim, dealing with the shofar. Hence, an Aleph Mem Resh Shoresh, rather than a Zayin Chaf Resh Shoresh should have been used. At this point in time, we either discard the Zichron Truah as an obligation in favor of a statement of fact, or alternatively, attempt to justify the use of the word Zichron. Rashi opts for the latter and justifies the use of the word Zichron by including the two extra words Psukei Zichronot.